fellow who used to indulge in sports myself, every year I get better in my own mind. I know that doesn't happen to any of you all because I've heard stories about it and I've read everybody's biographies. And so I am complimented to be in the presence of such an athletic crowd, their friends, supporters, descendants, and otherwise. It's a great day. I congratulate MAC, the Alumni Association's Development Office, in putting this together. And I'm sure that we will have this kind of response year after year. And maybe we can expand this place as Mrs. Smith would allow.
We wanted to open up the Athletic Hall of Fame to the Brevard Street people first, and we really wanted to do that so that we didn't forget those guys, those men that had a significant impact on Boys Latin before we moved out here to Lake Avenue. This first group of inductees is a very special people. It's not only a who's who of Boys Latin, but I think it's really a who's who of Baltimore. If you look through the pamphlet and read some of these names, I think they're some of the real big names of the actual city of Baltimore, not just Boys Latin. And each of the inductees is receiving a medallion today. And I would like that for people who are in the back perhaps to walk around. Here it is right here. Here's one of them. But to walk around and look at it, and we think it's really a special thing. And thanks to Caroline Earhart, this was her idea. So if it goes wrong, you're going to be the one who will blame it. So thank you, Caroline. Unfortunately, there are some of the past graduates who are deceased, and none of their representatives are here today. But I'd like to mention their names now, with the understanding that their impact on this school, although many years ago, is greatly appreciated. And again, referring to the program, to the names I'm about to read off to you. Ed Tippett from the class of 1913. Howie Myers from the class of 29. From the class of 33, there's Jack Evans Jr., Charles Kelly, and Jack Kelly. From the class of 34, Ted DeDeese. From the class of 36, Scott Prendergast. From 42, Olin Ellis. From the class of 44, Bobby Hahn, who's the son of Fred Hahn, who used to be the headmaster at Boys Latin. From the class of 52, Bill Jarrett. And a man who coached every one of these guys for 31 years at Boys Latin, except for Ed Tippett, Okie O'Connor. So please read their bios when you get a chance. During the actual induction, when our MC comes up here, we'd like to ask that each recipient or the inductee's representative to just please stand while the MC reads their bio. And after the ceremonies, if we could get the inductees and their families to meet out front. I know it's cold, but we'd like to take some pictures. Hopefully we can get some good ones and we'll send them to you after they get developed. And now I need to introduce our MC, and he's pretty much a man who really doesn't need an introduction. For a generation, he's been reporting on local sports, first for the Baltimore News American, and then for 30 years, Vince, at WBL-TV? More or less, 30. He, along with Chuck Thompson, were the voices of the Baltimore Colts, and he was, and in my mind still is, the dean of Baltimore sports. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Vince Bagli.
I really would wear my BL tie, but they just gave it to me. They said that blue and gold looks a little Loyola-ish. St. Paul's. There's a lot of blue and gold teams. This is the first time I've ever been introduced following somebody after whom a bridge has been named. Met Turner, you know the Met Turner Bridge down here, you know. I didn't know George Washington or Tappan Zee. There's others, but sure knew Ned was a heck of a wrestler at Virginia, but probably is more famous for what he's done academically. And so, it's a pleasure to be in his company again, and certainly you are blessed with having his presence at BL. A lot of people here I've known a long time, and I wondered about the list because when you don't see, I'm going to be 80 in May, and when you look at fellas you haven't seen for 50 years, and they say, I bet you don't remember me, I say, you're absolutely right. So, going over the list, I met a lot of people that I've known, and nice to meet them once again. I kind of feel like Judge Landis, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, who was the first baseball commissioner, must have felt when he opened up the Hall of Fame at Cooperstown. This was in 1939, and I was trying to think Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb, and probably Eddie Collins and Walter Johnson and Cy Young and maybe Nat Lajoie, people like that. I think there were 4 or 5 who were elected in the first. Honus Wagner elected in first class. So you 24 recipients today, and those who survived, can look forward to the day maybe as Babe Ruth did for all the years after he was inducted. So this is the first. I've been to a lot of halls of fame around the country, and I'll tell you something. Our museum downtown is something you really should get to see. There's a lot of lacrosse there, of course a lot of baseball and football. I get kidded by Bill Tanton. Where are you, Bill? I know you were here.
He's right here.
Hello. I went by you. Well, I know he's kidding. You're gonna go by you and catch all your hair. Well, I can say there's some others here.
That piece looks good on.
Excuse me?
That piece looks good on.
All right, let me take it. A friend of mine, Jim Carmody, said that to me at the stadium one day. I was going into the stadium, and I had spoken to him, and we separated. I was 25 yards ahead of him, and he turned around and says, I love your new hairpiece. I should have done it a long time ago, but anyway. But I want to talk about Bill Tanton for a minute, because he always gave me a hard time not being a great lacrosse aficionado as he was, and still is, as he conducts business down here on University Park. Beautiful. That's a terrific Hall of Fame, incidentally, the Lacrosse Hall of Fame. But having grown up in Hamilton, which is in northeast Baltimore, lacrosse was not the sport of choice. And I went to a funeral for a friend of mine who grew up in Highlandtown, and somebody said something about he being a tennis lover, not the sport of choice in Highlandtown. I think you can apply that lacrosse to Hamilton, because we never saw a lacrosse stick until we moved. But I remember Edgar Spillman is being introduced here today, and he had played at Johns Hopkins in the early 40s. And Billy Polehouse, up the street from me, he came across a clipping in the paper one day saying, Saturday, if you bring this coupon to Hopkins, Homewood, you can get in free and see Hopkins play Maryland, which was the traditional big game of the year. So we cut out the coupon and went over to Homewood and got in free, as was the case with everybody in those days. But anyway, they kind of wised up about that. But anyway, we went home, and we don't have a lacrosse. Where do you get lacrosse? Bobby Pool, we don't even know where that is, on Charles Street. Back Rack Racing. They were the only 2 places. I said, some of you older folks could agree, wouldn't you? Bobby Pool was the #1 spot. See, I'm catching up on this Tanton with my knowledge of lacrosse. So we went home and got a coffee can and a broomstick, nailed the coffee can to the broomstick, and then with a tennis ball tried to play lacrosse. One whack and the can fell off the stick, and that was the end of that. So, but I have had 2 sons who went on to high school and college and both played the game in their respective schools, both in high school and college. And I had grandsons all over the place. As a matter of fact, every Saturday, you got to go to the football, the baseball, the basketball, the cross, whatever it is. I had 15 grandchildren. So that's a lot of games to see. And you don't get too much chance to watch the television if who's ever playing on NBC. But anyway, I'm into lacrosse and have been for longer than Bill Tim would love to say. So let me get on the introduction, because that's what we're here for, to honor 24 people today in the inaugural class of BL for lacrosse for the Sports Hall of Fame. Now, as Mac pointed out, and I certainly want to thank Matt Kennedy and Dyson Earhart for inviting me to come down here today. And I'll wear this at a future event, maybe this afternoon's game. Anyway, let's go. We're going to have the folks or the acceptees standing, and I'll read a little biography on each of these. J. Cavendish Darrell, class of 1930, and accepting Butch, his son, Butch, is here today. And there are married members of the Darrell Tip, and Dick, I saw him a little while ago, so why don't you, Darrell, stand up? That might be a whole thing. Oh, here we are. Entered BL in 1917, won 4 football, 4 basketball, 1 lacrosse letter while student BL. An outstanding member of the BL gymnastics team. During his senior year, he was captain of the BL basketball, football, lacrosse teams. The maroon and white, that's the, maroon and white is the yearbook. Labeled Cav as one of the best athletes to come through in years. His senior year, he won the 220-yard meter dash in the annual field day event. And in 36 was selected as a member of the all-time Inkwell lacrosse team. Now, Inkwell is a school newspaper, and to be a member of that all-star team is quite an honor. Later played lacrosse for Hopkins and was a member of the 32 gold medal U.S. Olympic lacrosse team. So all of the Darrells, J. Cavendish Darrell is the first to be inducted. Second, Francis S. Darrell, and accepting will be Mickey, Mrs. Mickey, accepting for Mickey, how are you? Mickey was a 12-year man at BL, entering in 1919. He was the leading scorer on BL's 31 lacrosse team, quarterbacked the football team for 3 seasons, and in 31 was the leading scorer of the basketball and lacrosse teams, along with his older brother and fellow inductee Cav, was an outstanding 4-year member of the BL gymnastics team. He also was selected to the 36th all-time Inkwell lacrosse team. In his senior year, selected by his classmates as the most popular boy in the class, and he continued his collegiate play and athletic and academic career at Trinity College up in New England. So to the Darrells, J. Cavendish, Francis X, first 2 inductees. R. Warren Hammond, class of 34, and accepting for Mr. Hammond, his daughter Linda Hammond Wilson. How do you do? Warren first came to BL in 1928. He was selected to the first team All-Maryland lacrosse team in 34. He led the 34 championship lacrosse team in scoring. He was also All-MSA B Conference football in 32 and 3, and was captain of the 33 team. He started on the 34 MSA B Conference basketball championship team and earned 8 varsity letters, including 1 in baseball for the 31 team, BL's last on Brevard Street. He was selected to the 36th all-time Inkwell lacrosse team. And after his time at BL, Warren attended St. John's College in Annapolis, where he started on the lacrosse team and became a 3-time All-American. Warren Hammond. Thank you. William H. Vickers, a class of 35, accepting his daughter, Louise Vickers Codwell. How do you do? Bill entered boys LAC in 1930. He was a 2-time first-team All-Maryland lacrosse defenseman. He was a second-team selection in lacrosse, captain of the Missouri 5 squad. Also excelled in football, was selected to the first-team All-B Conference football team in 34. Elected and selected to the 36th all-time Inkwell lacrosse team. Later captain the Johns Hopkins University lacrosse team, Bill Vickers, William H. Vickers. Richard H. Green, class of 36, accepting son Steve Green. Dick came to BL in 28. He was a first-team All-B Conference football selection in 35. He was captain and leading scorer on the 35-36 team that won the B Conference championship. After the season, he earned first-team All-B Conference honors, also shown on the lacrosse field, and was selected to the second-team All-Maryland squad in 35 and 6. He won 5 varsity letters, voted his class best athlete, winner of the J. Elwood Peters Memorial Cup for the one who loves his fellow man. At Johns Hopkins, Dick earned lacrosse All-America honors and was selected to the All-South team in 1941. Richard H. Green. Gentleman now who saw the first lacrosse game I ever witnessed, Edgar H. Spillman, class of 36, and his son Dick Spillman representing him today. Mr. Spillman. Ed entered boys Latin in 33. He was a member of the 35 B Conference football and basketball championships team, selected to the first team All-B Conference team in 35. He was a second team All-Maryland selection in lacrosse as an attack man in 35. Also won the 35 school handball tournament over classmate and fellow Hall of Fame member Dick Green, and the school's golf tournament in 36. He earned 6 varsity letters, 2 each in football, basketball, and lacrosse. Ed played lacrosse in college at Johns Hopkins, earning All-America honors in 1941. Edgar H. Spillman. Joseph D.B. King, class of 37, accepting Mrs. Maggie King. Joe came to BL in 25. He was a leading goal scorer in 36 and 7 lacrosse team and was an All-Maryland first team selection in lacrosse in 37. He was a member of the 36 B Conference basketball team. He earned 5 varsity letters, won the Alumni Cup for leadership based on character. His athletic prowess was also seen on the track and in the swimming pool, where he won numerous events at the annual BL athletic events. Joe attended Princeton, played lacrosse there, was All-North squad member for 2 years, and received All-America honors in 1940. Joseph D.B. King. Lawrence P. Naylor III, 1937, accepting wife Cassandra. Boys Latin in 32. He was voted best athlete by his classmates. He was a first-team selection All-B Conference football player in 35, and All-B Conference basketball player in 36. A 3-sport star, was also elected to the second-team All-Maryland squad in lacrosse in 36. He earned 8 varsity letters, captained the lacrosse team at Princeton, and was selected All-America in 40 and 41. Larry Naylor. Jack H. Williams, class of 38, accepting wife Janet Williams, one of the beloved. Members of the hierarchy here at Boys Latin, great person. Jack, a 12-year Latinist, first came to Boys Latin in 1926. He was selected to the first team B Conference football squad, was captain of the team in 37. Selected as a second-team All-Maryland midfielder in lacrosse, the leading goal scorer in the 38 team. He was also a starting member of the 36 B Conference basketball championship team. He was voted his class best athlete. He won 10 varsity letters at BL, winner of the 38 Alumni Cup for leadership based on character. At Johns Hopkins, Jack was co-captain of the 42 lacrosse team and a member of All-South lacrosse team in 41. Jack Williams. Jack B. Dunn III, 1939, and accepting Jack IV. Jack is Jack was a 12-year Latinist, having entered BL in 27. He was selected on the first team B Conference football team in 38, He was one of the leaders of the 38 basketball team. Jack was a three-sport star and was named the second team All-Maryland in lacrosse and attack man. He led the 39 lacrosse team in scoring. He won 7 varsity letters and was selected by his class as the best athlete in 39. Jack was recipient of the 39 Alumni Cup for leadership based on character. And after BL, he attended Princeton, and for the first time in his life, was played the sport he most favorably enjoyed, baseball. And later he joined the family business, of course, the Baltimore Orioles. And in 1939, Jack managed the Orioles. Another significant fact about Jack, I had the opportunity several times to play golf with Bailey Goss and Chuck Thompson and Jack Dunn. The first hole-in-one I ever saw was scored by Jack Dunn. I'll never forget the day and the experience. It was the 13th hole at the Country Club of Maryland, down the hill. Jack hit this shot. Jack was a kind of a laid-back character. He wasn't very ebullient or whatever the word is for somebody who jumps up and down. So as the ball left the club, he said, "I hit it pretty good." And a low key. He said, "It might go in." Followed by the immortal words, "It did." Well, Bailey Goss, do you ever remember Bailey? I mean, he was a great spokesman for a product that, was #1 in its field, ahead of Budweiser for a long time. Bailey jumped as high as this podium. I mean, he goes crazy. Chuck was always sort of medium laid back, and I was awed. There it was, Jack Dunn, admiring his hole-in-one by saying, "It looks like it might go in." It did. I knew I'd get somewhere I'd get to tell that story. All right. Now we have the folks who are here today. Mr. George M.S. Reap of 1940. George entered Real in 1936. He was a first-team All-B Conference football selection the next year and a second-team B Conference selection in basketball in 38. In 40, George is captain of the BL varsity basketball team, selected the first-team All-B Conference team. The same year, George was named to the second-team All-Maryland in lacrosse, voted the class best athlete, and won 9 varsity letters. In 1940, George is the winner of the Alumni Cup for leadership based on character. George continued his education at Johns Hopkins, where he played lacrosse, earning All-South honors for 2 years, and All-American honors in 45. He also captained the 1943 lacrosse team. George, I beg your pardon?
Typo there, All-American 1943.
What happened to you in 45? Somebody will hear about this. Okay. George, a heck of a career. He looked terrific. Okay. Edwin C.M. Cassard III of 1943, accepting son Vim Cassard. Vim? Eddie entered BL in 1938, football and lacrosse player at BL, captain of the 42 football team. BL's last 11-man downtown. I remember their 6-man team, and then he disbanded that in 1960. But they played football, 11 guys on the team a few years before that. Cassard received 4 letters each in football and lacrosse. First team All-Maryland lacrosse honors as a defenseman in 42 and 3. He was an honorable mention election in 41, and in 43, Eddie was a winner of the Alumni Cup for leadership based on character. Eddie's athletic career cut short by World War II. He served in the U.S. Army from 43 to the end of the year. Edwin M. C.M. Cassard. Next fellow, I'm sorry we missed him. He's in Europe. Raleigh Brent, class of 44, accepting his son, Jeffrey Brent. Jeffrey. probably not quite as tall, and he's 6'4". So Raleigh, you know, he would stand in the crease and wait for somebody to flick it over the crease and then snap it down on some goalie's head. And then that Rollo Brent, I'll tell you, Rollo Brent and George Mitchell, who was over here in St. Paul, two of my favorite players. I always wanted to be tall. I see Rollo and George, I missed by about a foot. Anyway, Rollo, let me tell you about Rollo. He entered BL back in December of '33. He was the leading rebounder of the '44 basketball team and won the MSAP Conference and Interstate Academic Conference titles. One of the leaders on the lacrosse team, earning 3 letters and selected first team All-Maryland lacrosse in '44. He was leading goal scorer in '43 and '4. He won 7 varsity letters, also winner of the J.L. with Peter Memorial Cup for the one who loves his fellow man. His BL career, he attended Cornell University, stayed at Cornell, was cut short by the war, and he later attended Johns Hopkins. Rollo played lacrosse into his 40s, suiting up for the Friends BL alumni lacrosse game in 1973. You were taken there in your mother's arms. Okay. Raleigh Grant, class of '44. Well, you probably get some, he got more than he deserved here. For the other guys. Okay, Harry G. Thomas Jr., 44, an accepting Faith Valente, daughter of Harry Thomas. Mr. Lincoln? Harry started his career at BL in '33, captain of the football team in '43. He was an honorable mention All-American lacrosse player in '43 and earned second team honors the next year. He was a first team All-B Conference basketball team member in '44. Harry was the point guard of the '44 basketball team that went 18-2 and won championships in both the MSA-B Conference and the Interstate Academic Conference. He was the leading scorer of the '44 team with 54 overall points. He won 8 varsity letters at BL. Harry G. Thomas. J. Fred Close, class of 1945. I was going over the list and I said, gee, I knew Fred Close's father. And then I realized that I'm 79. This must be Fred Close. So he's still at the Maryland Chemical Company keeping things straight. Pleasure to see you looking so well, Mrs. Close. Fred entered Boys Latin School in the fall of '40. He was an all-around good athlete, especially excelled on the lacrosse field, where he won 3 letters. He was captain of the second place 45 lacrosse squad and was selected first team All-Maryland lacrosse in '45. He earned 6 varsity letters. After graduation, he attended Johns Hopkins, but his stay cut short by the war when he joined the U.S. Army. He later returned to GHU and also attended the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Finance and Business. Mr. Fred Gloss.